Hi, I'm Dr. Boyce Watkins from YourBlackWorld.com. This week we saw that the wife or the ex-wife of NBA star Dwyane Wade was arrested in the airport after she refused to take her baby back to their daddy or their sons back to their daddy on Father's Day. And Wade has since tried to take any visitation away from his wife. He already has full custody, but now he's trying to take visitation away from her. And it's kind of raised some eyebrows as really being reflective of a volatile situation. And what's interesting to me is that this is happening everywhere. You're constantly seeing these sorts of fights between couples. And so to really talk about this issue, I wanted to bring in one of our editors and contributors at Your Black World, Miss Nomalanga Mhauli-Moses, who also runs the website successfulblackwoman.com. She is also the reigning Mrs. Botswana, and I say that every single time that I interview her, and I'll probably just say it for like the next 50 years. So how you doing? How you doing today, Nomalanga?
I'm doing great, boys. How are you?
I'm doing very well, very well. Now you wrote an article about Dwyane Wade's ex-wife. I don't want to try to pronounce her name because I'll probably get it wrong. I want to hear what I want to hear your pronunciation of her name. Is it Sylvan?
I thought it was Siobhan, but I'm.
Okay, Siobhan, I can see Siobhan. I can see Siobhan because maybe it's like her mother was like, okay, I want my baby to be named Siobhan, but I want to spell it in a really fancy way. So
I
maybe
could
that,
be wrong.
yeah, because when I look at that name, I can't pronounce it, and then I look at Dwayne's name. I got an email from Dwayne's publicist one time because she said you misspelled his name, and I on in Your Black World, and I said. No, we didn't. It's Dwayne. And she said, no, it's Dwayne. Dwayne with the Y in front of the A. Everybody gets that wrong. Everybody. Right? I think even in your article, I think you spelled it the way normal people spell Dwayne. Who spells Dwayne put with the Y in front of the A? That's all I got to ask. But
Oh, okay.
yeah, it doesn't make
I
any
must
sense.
have written it
Right. So so
properly.
so both of them come from a weird place. I don't understand it. But you you as an advocate for women and for families and for marriage and relationships, you had an interesting take on this. Can you tell us about your article and what your thinking was?
Sure. What I basically said was, if everything that we're hearing about this woman is true, then she's really doing, I feel, a lot of Black women a disservice in that she's setting up men to be able to say, this is why I can't see my kids because she won't cooperate. Or even if I do try to see my kids, she's going to do something that's going to cause a whole firestorm and then I'm going to be caught up in a legal battle. It's too much drama. Because
Hmm.
what I tend to hear a lot about is, men complaining that they don't see their children. And in this particular case, it's unique in that Dwayne has the children, but still, even when in the short time that she had her children, from where we're standing, it looks like she tried to stop him from getting them back.
Hmm. Interesting. Well, you know, my, first of all, I'll say I think that I saw some people on Facebook on we have a lot of conversation on the Your Black World Facebook page about stuff like this. I guess baby mama drama is always interesting to people, and a lot of people were saying that they were saying, look, she's just one woman, and she might be a crazy woman. Who knows? Why should other black women even have to claim what this one woman did? I mean, is that sort of a fair critique? I mean, or do you think that people are inaccurate when they say that?
Well, first of all, I said women like her because it's not just her. It happens all the time that you see women who just, I'll be lazy and say they just don't act right. And I think in the article that I wrote on Father's Day, talking about how women should be advocates for their children, regardless of how they feel about the father of those children. They should be advocates of those children building a relationship with their fathers. Again, for me, I take it all the way to the other end of the spectrum. He could be in jail. Get on the bus if you don't have a car and take that child to see his or her father. I really feel that strongly about it.
Hmm.
So what I'm saying is it's not just about her. I'm just saying she's a great example because she's in the limelight of some of the women who we see who do a disservice to other women because they create that image of the woman who's impossible to deal with, and as a result of being impossible to deal with, the men don't want to have anything to do with them, and then unfortunately that means that they end up not having anything to do with their children.
I think that you're right. I think that we can point to a lot of examples of situations where you have individuals that are just emotionally damaged. I think that one of the untold stories in Black America is the story about the father who is dealing with the mother who doesn't want to cooperate. Maybe the mother who has imperialized the parenting process, and even terminology is very interesting when you hear some women use words like my baby, my baby, my
Hmm.
baby, almost as if they made this baby in an asexual manner. That they almost like they made the baby. I know you're looking up. I hear that crazy noise, but people can just know. Just attribute this to the fact that we proudly operate on ghetto Chitlin circuit technology. That's that's we are grassroots, but you know what? We were 100,000 strong now, so people apparently like this intellectual soul food, if you will, that we give them. We're about substance, not flash. If you want flash, then go watch MSNBC or something. But anyway, so but really, here's the deal. I think that when you talk about this particular case, it does seem a little odd, right? You made a very good point about the fact that if this woman, that the fact that she had her, parental rights really taken, that the custody was already transferred to Dwyane, that is an indicator that maybe she wasn't right to begin with. That it's very
Right.
rare for a judge to take children away from their mother. And I know this because I remember I fought for custody for my daughter, and I thought it was a no-brainer. And I remember that the courts were heavily in favor of giving custody to the mother, no matter how bad the circumstances were. And so I think that that you have a good point there. But also I think when I saw her acting this way, I thought about that natural bond between mother and child, and how a lot of mothers can be heavily distraught by the idea of having to send their children away. And I wondered, and I hope this isn't the case, but I wondered if it could be a scenario in which Dwyane Wade, this famous, highly respected, wealthy, powerful man, was really sort of dominating and bullying the mother of his children. I'm not saying that one thing is true of the other, but in
Hmm.
my mind, all possibilities kind of ran
Right.
through. But you think that it seems to be a case where the mother is kind of getting out of line, and that that she's kind of sort of not really showing a lot of class here. Is that what your take is?
Sure. Well, boys, let's look at it this way, okay? You and I are both teachers. Before you lecture, you start with the outcomes. What do you want them to know at the end, right? Let's look at her outcomes right now. She's been arrested, and now um, she's about to lose the right to even see her children. That's not what she wanted. At least I would hope not, right? So we're together on that point. If she really felt like she wanted to see her children, there's a rational approach that she could have taken. She can fight him with the system or whatever she can do, even if she felt like he's powerful, like you're saying, and so forth. Doing what she did not get her what she ultimately wanted. Okay, and that's something that I share a lot of times with people that I coach and mentor. You have to look at the outcomes, and for her, the course of action that she took did not give her the outcomes that she wanted. So that to me makes it look even more irrational. And yeah, the other point that I did make was, first I kind of heard that he got custody, and I kind of frowned, like, why would a judge give him custody? Because even when it's a monetary issue, the judges, in my experience and what I've heard, typically lean towards the mother. So there's something maybe that they've done a good job of shielding her from us knowing about her that caused the judge to give him custody. I've heard rumors about, her mother testified against her and said that she was negligent, and said other things about her, which caused the judge to lean towards going away and giving the kids. Um, but again, it's I really wanted to give her the benefit of the doubt, but it became increasingly hard when then she was doing things which ultimately meant she was ignoring the law. They have an agreement in place. She's ignoring the law. She doesn't like it. She can go through the channels and contest it. But what she did ended up with her being arrested. And now she's about to lose custody. Well, she's already lost custody, but she's about to lose the right to even see her children. That's not
Mm.
a good situation for her.
Well, it's an interesting case, and I'll say this. When I think about what's going on between those two, it's unfortunate. It's sad. Love is such an amazing thing when you see these two people who care so much about each other, would do anything for each other, would put their lives on the line for each other 1 minute, but then the next minute they're in court fighting each other as if they've been enemies for life. Love has always perplexed me in that way, and it's unfortunate that many of us in our community, we really don't know how to have the patience and discipline to nurture productive relationships. You see so many people sort of going from one relationship to the other, and it's always somebody else's fault. And I say that if your relationships are all falling apart, it's your fault. You're the one who's you're making the executive decisions to mate with and to date who you choose. You're the one who's choosing to give up instead of continuing to try. In your relationship. So to some extent, all of us have to learn how to look in the mirror when it comes to this kind of thing, because when you have kids in the middle, the problem magnifies because the children are the ones who suffer. I see so many people who allow their egos to enter into the parenting and family process, where you'll see a case where a child is with his mother or her mother, and the mother just doesn't like the father for whatever reason. Maybe she's mad at him, or doesn't like his friends, or doesn't like something that he does, and she feels that it's her right to say, well, if he can't do what I think he needs to do with my child, then he has no right to see his child. Well, no, that's a bunch of crap. That is that child's father. That father has just as much of a right to be with that child as you do. He can't come up in your house and question and criticize your parenting techniques. He might not like your boyfriend. He might not like your parenting approach. So what in the hell makes you think that you have a right to do that and he does not? And that's what really bothers me when I hear mothers say, well, I don't let my child see their father. And I'm like, well, do you ask the child? Do you know how this is going to affect that child emotionally as they grow up? And the other thing is, the relationship guide, another person who
Hmm.
talks about relationships a lot on our site, who's a little younger than yourself, but you two think of in equally interesting ways. She literally, blasted moms on Father's Day, and she said, in her post, "You don't have a penis. That Father's Day is not for you. You are not that baby's father. You cannot replace the father. So stop trying to do that. And if you think that the man that you chose to have a baby with is not an adequate father, then why the hell did you sleep with him in the first place? When you made that decision, you talk about pro-life and pro-choice. Well, you had the choice to decide who you were going to lay down with that night, and you chose wrong. So don't make your child suffer for life because you don't know how to pick an adequate mate. And I'm not just talking to women; I'm talking to men too, especially these men that are having babies all over the place and child support up to here and can't afford to pay it. Well, I don't feel sorry for you. With that power of sex and love comes responsibility, and I think we have to really push that message when we talk to each other. Now, Noma,
Absolutely.
I'm going to ask you the last question, let you get the last word, because I just went on my Pastor Creflo Dollar rant. I think I need to be up in the pulpit now, and maybe because I just start talking, and I don't know, maybe if I was in the Creflo Dollar's pulpit, I'd probably be making a lot more money. But
It is
but
an emotionally charged issue, Boyce. It is an emotionally charged issue.
Yeah, so I want to ask you, um, what can we learn from all this celebrity relationship drama that, with these kids? I mean, it's one thing to talk about what the celebrities are doing and what's going on with them, but I think that this is one thing that you and I try to do with Your Black World, etc., is try to educate and talk about this in a way where we can all learn something from this, because
Right.
life is the greatest teacher and the greatest university in many cases. So what do you think that we can learn from sort of watching people tear their own lives apart fighting over this kind of stuff?
Well, the first thing that I see is people have to learn to separate issues. Like I said, you don't have to like that person. Obviously, if you're not with them anymore, you must not like them that much. But the fact that they are the other parent of that child gives them the right to have a relationship with it. I cannot stress it enough. Just to give you a peek into my own life, there are things that I didn't know about myself until I got married, and I'm always evolving and learning about myself, and I'm always seeing how I grew up and how I was nurtured, how I was loved. plays into how I love, how I parent, how I am as a wife.
Mm,
As a mother, if you take a child and stop them from seeing their parent, and you think, okay, that's better for the child. You don't know what's going to happen when she's 30 years old, 35 years old, whatever, and is in the middle of a marriage and how that's going to come back and affect that child. You just don't know, you know?
mm,
And we're built to have two parents, and it may not be in the ideal situation, but what I'm trying to say ultimately is the first thing is we have to separate out issues. Okay, think about the child and what that child can benefit from their father. There's always something. There's no person who has no value whatsoever. We can never ever say that. So
mm,
that parent who's not the primary custodian always has a value, and you have to be diligent about making sure that they have a relationship with their child. The
mm,
second thing is, and I kind of mentioned it before, is let's think about outcomes, the outcomes of our actions. Okay. I get it. Maybe she got emotional. Maybe she got upset. Maybe they had a fight, whatever happened. But you should be able to foresee the end of what you're doing. And she should have known better than to decide not to go to the airport, wrestle with the police, all the things in the position that she didn't want to be in.
mm. Interesting, and I agree. I mean, I feel bad for those boys because I can't imagine what it must be like to be standing there watching your mother get arrested, and and she resisted arrest, and she's fighting with the police. I mean, that is going to rip them apart on the insides, and they're never going to get over this. And I hope that the parents realize this. And I hope that any parents out there going through their own drama will realize the importance of not putting your ego before the significance of doing what's right by your family and by your kids. That's the biggest problem. That's the biggest problem that we have in the world is the ego thing. And speaking of kids, I think I heard one of your kids. Is that one of your kids in the background? I saw your eyes get kind of big,
Like,
like oh my
oh,
god. So that is our cue to sign out. Thank you very much for your time, Nomalanga.
thank you, boys. It's always a pleasure.
Absolutely. This is Nomalanga Mhauli-Moses. She is one of our editors at Your Black World and YourBlackBloggers.net. And she also runs the website SuccessfulBlackWoman.com. And she is also the reigning Mrs. Botswana and just a heck of a person. And I'm Dr. Boyce Watkins from YourBlackWorld.com. Thank you for checking us out. And also, I hope that you will continue to support the radio show that I'm doing with Ed Gordon, which comes on in Detroit and DC. In Detroit, it comes on Mix 92.3 Sundays from 12 to 2, and in DC, it comes on WHUR Saturdays from 7 to 8 p.m. And Ed will be glad to know that I finally got that right because I've been saying it wrong for a while. But it's a good show. It seems to be doing well, and hopefully we can get it picked up in some other cities. So until we meet again, please stay strong, be blessed, and be educated. We are gone. Peace.